rats, we're rats, we're the rats. We pray at night, we stalk at night, we're the rats.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little bit different today. This is my rat deck, which is sort of a kitchen table magic deck. Don't expect this to win you any tournaments, but it's fun, the flavour's cool, and to be honest I've been having some success with this deck, and I'm really enjoying it. The main card that this deck is based around is Piper of the Swarm, who's right here. So let's get started, let's get into the deck. This is standard, legal by the way. That's all we tend to play really on this channel, although we're trying to get into Commander. Okay, so the main card of the deck, which obviously we run 4 of, is Piper of the Swarm. One of these is the alt art that you get in the bundles. So what he does is he gives all rats you control Menace. Also, you can tap 1 colourless, 1 black, and tap him to create a 1/1 black rat creature token. But the main thing that he does, which is cool for this deck, is 2 colourless, 2 black, tap, sacrifice 3 rats, gain control of target creature. So he'll allow you to kill your opponent with their own creatures as long as you've got a consistent way of generating rats, which this deck does. Now, because a lot of the cards in this deck sacrifice, and there's not really enough rats in standard to play all rats, we also play 4 Mayhem Devils. This guy is 1 colourless, 1 black, and 1 red. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So it's just another way to get damage on the board and effectively act as a secondary win condition for this deck. The next card, have to play 4 of it really in a rat deck. It's one of the few rats in standard. This is Burglar Rat. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, and it's 1 colourless, 1 black, and it's a 1/1. This is standard, it's a rat, it gets Menace, you can sacrifice it to take control of your opponent's creatures. It's going to go in the deck if you're playing a rat deck. The next one, who is really a key card to this deck as well, is Mad Ratter. He's quite expensive for a 1/2 at 3 colourless and 1 red, but he can get really good. There's a really good combo in this deck, which I'll show you when the other card comes up. What he does is whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 black rat creature token. So each time you draw, you can create a rat. Now, the card that this guy combos with really well is unfortunately a legendary, so we only play 3 of her, because obviously we can't have 2 of her out, but this girl, Ayara, First of Lochwain. She's 3 black, which makes it a bit annoying when we're playing 2 colours, but still. She's a legendary, 2/3, where whenever Ayara, First of Lochwain, or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Also, you can tap her, sacrifice another black creature, and draw a card. Now this pairs perfectly with this, because whenever you draw a card, you create 2 1/1 black rat creature tokens, and you can tap her, sacrifice a rat, to draw a card. So each time you sacrifice a rat to draw a card, you're also getting 2 rats back. So these two working together are brilliant. Like, it's a great engine of drawing and generating rats. So it's one of the main ways this deck works. Another thing we play is we play 3 Cauldron Familiars. This works well with the artifact that lets you sack him. It's basically a loop to do 1 damage per turn. This is effectively filler, and you can replace these whatever you want, but I like the flavour of cats and rats, basically. Fitting in with the theme of the deck, we run 2 Plaguecrafters. They let you, when Plaguecrafter enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player can't discard a card. It's removal to get rid of your opponent's stuff, and he fits in with the sacrificing. Combos with a few cards in order to deal some damage. We also run 2 Felmire Knights. He is a 1/1 Death Touch, so he's just in there as sort of, he can chump block, get rid of something bigger. Also his adventure is Profane Insight, which lets you draw a card and lose 1 life. He can proc Mad Ratter. He's just a good card in general. This is another one that you could swap out if you want to. Then we're into the one-offs. I'll play 1 God Eternal Bontu. It's a black deck, why wouldn't you play him really? He is 3 colourless, 2 black, Menace. When he enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of other permanents and draw that many cards. Again, that can proc quite a few cards in this deck. And when he dies or is put into exile, you may put it to its owner's library, 3rd from the top. All of the God Eternals have that. Next up we have Liliana, Dratel General. Again, she fits in well with this deck. She might be a bit expensive, but I have a copy of her, so I'm running her. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card, so that combos with all the sacrificing. +1 is to create 2/2 zombie creature token. -4 is each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Again, that's great. That combos with her draw and other cards in this deck. And her -9 is crazy as always, but you're not usually getting to play that. She's a 6 loyalty, 4 colorless, 2 black Planeswalker. And that's it for the creatures and Planeswalkers, and we're moving on to the instant and sorceries. So I run 2 Legion's End. Again, it's just removal, which this deck needs. You can't really let your opponent get away because you're trying to set up. What it does, it's 1 colorless, 1 black. Exile target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 2 or less, and all other creatures that player controls with the same name as that creature. Then that player reveals their hand and exiles all cards with that name to the hand or graveyard. This can work really well, just to get rid of those annoying creatures that you couldn't otherwise get around. Even if they're small, it can just work to interrupt your opponent's deck. Play 4 Thrill of Possibility. This is a draw card, so it combos with Mad Ratter. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, and then draw 2 cards. It also lets you hit your combo pieces and your rats a bit earlier. As mentioned earlier, we then run 3 Witch's Oven, which combos with your Cauldron Familiar. It lets you sacrifice him, create a food token, and then obviously you sacrifice the food token, bring him back, which just helps you deal a bit of damage to your opponent and gain some life. Now we're on to the lands. I play 1 Fabled Passage, mainly because I have it and I've got the full art of it. It helps with your mana fixing a bit. I don't have expensive dual lands, so this is just a way to make sure I can get the one that I want. And if you control 4, basically, yeah, it's a good card. Why wouldn't you play it if you have it? I then run 2 Castle Embereths. Again, this is just a good card. I mainly just use it as a mountain, but also for 1 colorless and 2 red, you can make creatures you control get +1/+0 to end a turn. If you've got a few rats, that can be very worthwhile. As this is a Rakdos deck, I run 4 Rakdos Guild Gates and 4 Bloodfell Caves. As I said, I don't have the expensive lands, and this is a kitchen table deck, it doesn't really need them. And then the remainder really is 4 Swamps, and the rest is just swamps. Sorry, 4 mountains, the rest is just swamps. So that's the full deck. We will be streaming with it. I have been streaming with it, and I will stream with it again soon. This is a really fun deck. I really, really like Piper of the Swarm. He's such a cool card, and basically he inspired me to make this deck. And it's really fun just to generate quite a lot of rats and take your opponent's good creatures and kill them with that. And especially having things like Liliana in this deck, it's just nice to have them as a surprise. And it makes it a bit of a stronger deck than it would be otherwise. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. If you've got any suggestions of other decks that you'd like to see or decks you'd like me to build, please write them in the comments. And thank you guys for watching.